Yo, this is Dr. Harmony, and you are now tuned in to Dr. Harmony TV. All right, Hotep, everyone, and today we're going to be discussing a very controversial topic in accordance to the the so-called conscious YouTube community. So I'm gonna jump right into it. The topic and subject is homosexuality natural. And you might be thinking, okay, Brother Devin, why are you bringing this up? Because it's what's being debated right now in the black YouTube conscious community. Is it natural? Is it unnatural? Is it natural? Is it unnatural? So here, uh, instead of giving my opinion, which I'll save at the end of the video, I want to share with you once again that I I I do stand for black politics and African spirituality. However, I'm more of the inclusive type because if you think about it, most most black people don't have the ability to try and achieve celestial awareness. Very few of them do, but most of them don't because we come from very traumatic households, very I guess you could say corrupt environments. I guess, and I think I may have put this presentation wrong because I started off with Marcus Garvey, but since I chose to do it like this, why don't we start off with Marcus Garvey and giving a full oversight of this subject in regards to homosexuality being natural. Now, first thing we have to be educated on is who is Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey's occupation was that he was a journalist and a publicist, and he was around during the 1920s. And in his book, the in his book, uh, which I like, there's things that I accept as truth, and there's things in his book that I don't accept as truth. But there was one piece of philosophy that I accept, that he said that anybody that basically does anybody that's black and they basically do things that are not of the Pan African culture is not your brother. So again, This is this is from both perception and perspective. So this is not out of prejudice. Yes, it is somewhat of racist. It is somewhat of racism, excuse me, but it's not out of prejudice. That's not what the main focus is about. He said anybody black that does things that is outside of the liberation of black people is not your brother. So for first of all, as we go into the subject of whether or not homosexuality is natural or unnatural, let me first state that Marcus Garvey is a heterosexual. So therefore, his philosophy catered to basically everyone, according to my research. Because I've seen some of the books that I've seen some of the covers of some of his books that he's written. Um, based on my own research via Google, and so he was a firm political leader and a devout Christian, a Christian of New Age thought, and so well, whether or not homosexuality is natural or not, I feel that from this is not from me. This is from Marcus Garvey. I'm telling you his philosophy and opinion on this. His opinion is that homosexuality is not natural, and I'm going to explain why in this video. So again, if there's any homosexuals, bisexuals on my that are subscribing to my channel watching it, please don't take offense. If you do, that's on you. We're not I'm not responsible for the emotions of others. However, I'm just presenting information from two different perspectives and two different perceptions. Okay, so that's number one. So again, we're gonna go into the topic and subject of is homosexuality natural. Now, excuse me. The first thing I should have stated was that we're going to be looking at both sides of the coin when it comes to this subject. So, my thoughts on this is biased because when you look at it from a heterosexual view, it is unnatural. I'm gonna say that again so people don't get upset. When you look at it from a heterosexual or a straight view, in reference to sexual orientation, it is unnatural, and I'll tell you why from both a religious and scientific point of view. The the religious point of view is that two men and two women cannot produce children. Okay, there and all they can really do is in a in a more I guess medical term we could say uh, all all two gay men and two lesbian women can do is ejaculate on each other and adopt children. That that is that is from the cultural understanding and the religious aspect is they feel that it is an abomination, and from the metaphysical and scientific point of view, in accordance to the heterosexual logic, they say that it's just unnatural. Okay, so another another one of the things that Marcus Garvey stated, and he stressed in one of his philosophies, and if you'd like, some of his audios are on YouTube right now. One of the things that he stressed was that anything that the anything that the prejudiced white race does is a toxic. If it's not if it's not if it's not African centered, it's not natural. So, in my opinion, in some instances, that's true. It just depends on what it is. Okay, so do I think that homosexuality is unnatural? Again, we're looking at it from both sides. Heterosexually, I say no. Androgynously, I, excuse me, androgynously and inclusively, I say expressing all different forms of love is absolutely natural, and we're gonna get into the the spiritual aspect of it as to why in a few seconds. So sit tight and stay tuned for more Dr. Harmony TV. All right. So this that you see, this picture that you see right here is called a soul star chakra. Now, in a video that I heard about, but I never got the chance to see, there was a there was a young dark skinned woman who stated that she stated that in the beginning that the first chakra that we ever had before the red one, the orange one, the yellow one, the green one, the blue one, the indigo crown chakra, and all the other ones, but before they were even physical, the first chakra that we've ever had as human beings, black, white, and etc. The first chakra that we ever had was this chakra right here, this soul star chakra. Okay, now on the spiritual subject of this video, on the spiritual subject of this video, we're going to be diving deeper into both perspectives of whether or not homosexuality is natural or unnatural. But we're going to be doing it from a spiritual slash religious sense. Okay? So, um, again, back on the soul star chakra thing. The first chakra that we ever had was our soul our soul star chakra, and why do I keep stressing this? It's because we are we are these chakras, and I've said in previous videos that you can look at, because I thought about deleting them and then redoing them over, but I'm like, why do that when those videos had a power in and of itself? You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to do all that. Cause it would be like regurging my own information that is simply old. You know what I'm saying? So again, as I stated, we are these major 7 to 13 to 172 chakras. Okay, I would give a accurate complete number on this, but I don't want to confuse my subscribers, so I'm just gonna keep it in a I'm gonna keep it in a scholastic perspective. Okay, so the first chakra that we've ever had was this chakra right here, which you see on this screen, which is the soul star chakra. Now, the thing about the soul star chakra is that it it is who we are. These chakras that we have actually represent uh, the the 13, the major 7 to 13 to 162 bodies that we have. It's just like there was a YouTuber who's no longer with us, YouTube community wise. She used to say that she used to say that um, we have something called doppelgangers. And what is a doppelganger? A doppelganger is basically a it's basically a energetic and spiritual copy of ourselves. So it's like I'm talking to you right now through this phone that I'm using to lecture on. So you have your physical body, and and then like I'm on planet Earth, but then there's another me on Mars, and my body might look green, and then I might look different in Jupiter, and Orion and Sirius and all these other planets. So we basically have billions and billions of copies of ourselves, because we are all a part of what's called, we are all part of what's called the God particle, which I'm going to try to explain in this lecture as well. I have I have a presentation on that as well. I'm gonna try my best to explain that part once we get to it. So if I mess up, y'all, I'm sorry. Okay. All right. So let's go back into the political and religious reason as to why homosexuality is not natural. Okay, so let's let's go into let's go into more of some physical and political reasons before we get into these next few pictures. Okay, so um, uh, biblically and apocryphally speaking, according to the I'll say the religious celestial history, because I know for sure that religious celestial history is not the truth. I mean, there's some truth to it, but it's not the it's not the whole truth. It's just a fraction of our uh, our celestial story, if you will. Um, because really, there's no such thing as history. Because when you refer to something as history, it's really his story. And who are they talking about? They're talking about our opposing opposites, those that don't really like us. Okay, so in a religious sense, there were a group of people called the Nephilims and the Archons, right? And so and so there were humans here on Earth. They were civil. I'm trying to sum this up the best way I can so I can go to the next slide. so so there were a group of human beings that made it with another group of beings that were called the Nephilims. Okay, they were called the Nephilims, and the Archons. So they started communicating with these beings, and they started having sex with these beings, and procreating with these beings. So uh, the 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 Nephilim were not just impregnating the women. They were they were committing all kinds of sexual acts. So so in short, the the physical and political reason, as well as exoterically religious purpose, as to why homosexuality uh, is not natural, because all human beings on Earth live by law. There's two different types of law. You have you have physical laws, and then you have no, excuse me. There's three types of laws. You have physical law, you have spiritual law, and spiritual and etheric law, and then you have what's called celestial law. And according to universal laws, all three laws stay the same, except for one. And I'm gonna be doing another video on that really soon. Once I get my information and research together. So I'm gonna be talking about what those universal laws are. Anyway, um, so the reason why homosexuality may not be natural from the physical and heterosexual sense is because sex and this is for scientific and spiritual reasons. Okay, so oh yeah, and uh, well no, I'm gonna just keep going. I I'm I'm juggling my thought. All right, so the anyway, the reason why homosexuality may not be natural in this sense is because our bodies are made to procreate. Is just simply that. Uh, our, our bodies are made to procreate. And I know you might be thinking, well, okay, so if our bodies are made to procreate, uh, why why do people why do we have free will to do what we want, um, culturally, artistically, and sexually wise? Why do we have these freedoms? It's because the laws of this planet, the ones that operate through the laws, they understand that they cannot break universal law. And one of the universal laws of the universe is man cannot interfere with free will. So even if people wanted to, or they felt they had the jurisdiction to, they they cannot interfere with a man or a woman's free will. Because think about it. If we all were in a school, right, and we were subjected to this one curriculum, this one book, you know, we would really all be scholastically, socially, culturally, and politically, as well as artistically, enslaved. Because we're all subscribing to this one ideology, this one philosophy that might not be benefiting us all. So this is one reason why we have free will and the freedom of choice. Okay, because spirit, soulfully and spiritually, that's how we operate. Things of the physical world only matter to things that are physical. It's no other way for me to explain that. I can only simplify it, and I can only simplify it one time. Okay, so yeah, so um, when it comes to when it comes to when it comes to the things of the earth, from the political and exoteric religious aspect, things like homosexuality, bisexuality, uh, polyamory, all kinds of orientations. Those things are not holistically acceptable in reference to the physical planet, because there are certain laws that um, that require us as human beings to procreate. This is why you have uh, uh, sexual preferences such as monogamy, one man, one woman. Okay, and besides cooking, cleaning, etc., the main purpose, sexual wise, is to procreate. Um, the purpose, intimate wise, um, is to expand on each other's thoughts, feelings, uh, truths, and emotions. Because we might be the same in the soul and spirit, maybe. However, we could also be different because of the different types of intelligences and consciousness that there are. Okay? Now, here is where I flip the coin to address why homosexuality is natural. Okay? Which is also going to lead me to the next segment. So I'm going to do this real quick. All right? So the reason why homosexuality, bisexuality is natural is because uh, people, excuse me, let me do this properly. Those of us that are um, bisexual, aka androgynous, or homosexual, um, we don't really adhere to uh, physical mundane thought, because we know that there is an existence and a reality better and higher than this one. So those of us who may be bisexual, uh, and or via homosexual, we are in our physical sense, we are a mental people. So you know how those aggressive heterosexual men and women like to push, you know, any sexuality opposite of ours is of the mind, and from a subconscious and super subconscious perception and perspective, they are right. But you can never you can't fully understand that until you get it. I mean, you can grasp it in the sense of being logical and analytical about it. Sure, that's normal, but you won't really gain an understanding unless you have some life experiences and experience who God, or the inner, the higher, and the highest self is, because we all know who the God and Goddess is, and that's you. We are all a part of the we are all a part of the super ultra multi-dimensional subconscious reality. Um, seven the 7 to 13 to 162 chakras represent the 7 to 13 to 162 auras of ourselves, which means we have th- um, hundreds and hundreds of minds. Therefore, we have hundreds and hundreds of intelligences. Okay? So, in its simplicity, I stress all that to say this. We, we are more than just this physical body. we we are soul, we are spirit, and we are multi-dimensional light. That which makes up the the rainbow of the multiverse. Because if we didn't have a multiverse, galaxies wouldn't exist. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna come back and we're gonna get into the next part of this video. Okay. All right. Peace. All right. Lunch break is over and we're back. Okay. So the reason why am bringing up the Soul Star chakra again. Oh, sorry about that. The reason why I'm bringing up the Soul Star uh, chakra picture again is because I left out some information about the Soul Star chakra. Now, here's what I left out. What I left out is this. The thing that I left out was that the Soul Star chakra also comes from we all come from the multi multi ultra dimensional celestial realms, okay? And from a African spiritual sense, our souls come from the sun. Okay, all of our souls come from the sun. All right. Now, here's the thing, right? So, the thing about our soul star chakra bodies is that when we when you're in meditation and you focus on your soul star chakra reveals everything about yourself. You see the little sun in the middle, and it kind of looks like a wheel. That is actually the door into your own soul. Okay? And this reveals everything about you from your past lives to your purpose in life and even where your ancestry comes from. Okay? And this is from a spiritual sense, not a medical, scientific, and diagnostic sense. Although those things are important too, we're talking about spiritual references right now. So, okay, sorry about that. Phone had. I got a phone call. All right, telemarketers. Avoid telemarketers, y'all. They'll try to get your money any way they can. Alright? Be careful. Alright, so anyway, the soul star chakra reveals everything about you. Your purpose in life, your ancestry, even your sexual orientation. And yes, I'm going there. The reason why your soul reveals your orientation is simply because I'm gonna say this. Just because you were raised and just because you were raised and brought into one way of thinking, it does not mean that the way someone else raised you is who you are. And I don't mean like culturally raised. I mean like sexually, because although you may have parents that have participated into bringing you into the world, right? Although they brought you into the world, okay, through procreation and a heterosexual activity, it does not mean that you are heterosexual, because remember, we all have choices, okay? It doesn't it do, it doesn't mean that, okay? Because I'm gonna put it to you like this: we have materialistic wise, linear and mundane wise, we have three minds. We have our physical mind, our spiritual mind, which is also our subconscious mind, and we have our altered celestial mind, okay, which allows us to see things from an even higher perspective, okay? So, again, when it comes down to your soul, you might have came into the world heterosexually, but it does not necessarily mean that, yeah, it does not necessarily mean that you are heterosexual. The reason why we have these preferences is because the world in and of itself, is made to expand, okay, to grow, to transform, to elevate itself, okay? Um, so that's why, all right? Now we're gonna go into the next slide. Peace. Disclaimer: you have the right to choose whatever sexuality you would like to practice and you have the right to experience and practice whatever sexual lifestyle you like. However, if you're a being that is constantly desiring to expand his whole being, not just his mind, but his entire being, it does not necessarily mean that you're a heterosexual. Alright, so let's go into the next slide of this. Alright, now earlier I was guided by the Egyptian god Hapi to make this video to kind of cease this whole debate on whether or not homosexuality is natural or unnatural. Okay? So let's go into the next slide. Alright. Now, you see these two beautiful and handsome homosexual couples here? Well, I'm going to say this like I've said in other previous videos that I've done here on YouTube on my channel. Alright? Now, one of my uh, YouTube subscribers that I watch, who's distantly my spiritual teacher, has said it, and I'll say it too since I'm in alignment with it. Now, from the supernatural aspect, from the supernatural aspect, with supernatural energies being manifested here on earth, homosexuality is indeed normal. It's indeed natural. Why? Because homosexuals and bisexuals operate on a higher spiritual level. When as to heterosexuals, they they have a they have a spirituality. Let's not take that away from them. They have a spirituality, but their spirituality is based on rules and regulations. So they can't really expand their awareness unless they either follow the rules of their manufactured spiritual system, i.e., religious man made, and or they can go into the aspect of leaving religion and start becoming spiritual by doing one thing: letting go of judgment and just embracing people for who they are. So there are two types of straight people on this planet. They say the first group of heterosexuals is, they say heterosexuality is wrong. It's an abomination. You shouldn't be sexual with two people. Then you have the others that say, you know what? Me and my girlfriend identify as straight, but just because you have a different sexual preference than I do, it doesn't mean that I have the right to judge you. So live and let live. You see what I'm saying? So again, there's two types of heterosexuals in the world. There are conditional and traditional straight people, and then there's the what King Ra Sumaba Igfebimi calls the wise heterosexuals, or what I like to call the androgynous heterosexuals. Androgynous heterosexuals are more free spirited. They're more free spirited. Yes, they too have their rules and regulations. Um, However, when it comes to seeing other people happy and just embracing people for who they are, even expressing themselves sexually, it's a carefree way of living. Okay? So we're gonna go into the we're gonna go into the next segment because this was a lot. I had to put these images together and then talk as to why I put these images together. But so again, from a heterosexual perception and perspective, homosexuality, bisexuality, the transcendent. I don't like to say transgender, but the but for political reasons and medical, we'll say transgender. But so in the heterosexual sense, excuse me, in the heterosexual sense, bisexuality, homosexual, bisexuality, homosexuality, transgender, and or transcendentism is unnatural, according to the heterosexual perception and perspective. Okay, but when it comes to the perception and perspective of the universalists and multidimensionalists, expressing all forms of love is natural, including bisexuality, aka androgyny, aka bisexuality, and homosexuality. Okay, so with that being said, I say is is homosexuality natural? Is
Sorry about that, folks. My battery got that low. My battery got low, excuse me. I said my battery got that low. Okay. With that being said, folks, is homosexuality natural? From a heterosexual sense, no. However, in a androgynous and homosexual sense, yes. And in a multi-dimensional perception and perspective, we say yes, expressing all forms of love, whether it be heterosexuality, androgyny, aka bisexuality, and homosexuality, is definitely and indeed from a multi-dimensional sense natural. Why? Because it's supernatural. Okay? When you become truly spiritual, not from not from a heterosexual narrative, but from a true metaphysical and transcendent perspective, yes. Heterosexuality, androgyny, and homosexuality is indeed natural. Simply because it is supernatural. Um, it also, in addition to this closing, I would like to say, why is it natural? Because those of us who are metaphysical, those of us who are bisexual and homosexual, most of us are metaphysical. But if you do not um if you do not identify with the the concept of metaphysics, your you, your body language shows some me, some metaphysical expression, because when you have beings such as androgynous beings like myself and homosexual beings, we are true metaphysical people. Not saying that heterosexuals can be metaphysical either, but their metaphysical reality is based on the way they think on this earth. Okay? Because they'll say, well,
Yo, what up? This is Dr. Harmony. I want to let y'all know my debut album, The Philosophy and Opinions of Dr. Harmony, Mental Advisory, Intelligent Content, is coming soon. Also, my mixtape, Books, Guns, and Loyalty, Mental Advisory, Explicit Thoughts and Lyrics. The mixtape is coming soon, which features my homeboy Eldridge the Clown, my man Six Sense, and my homegirl Nella Louise. Be sure to pick it up when it drops and prepare to open your mind. Peace. Mental Advisory, baby. R.I.P. Devin Harris, the mixtape coming very soon.